Okay, here is another way to solve a quadratic, and it's not the most useful way to do it, but it's more of a fun trick to learn. So let me go ahead and show it to you, and then if you decide not to use it, that's okay. Okay. I'd like to know the roots or the solutions to this. And I'd also like to know the vertex. And I know I could find the vertex by doing the negative b over 2a. But I can also do it by taking this and going into vertex form. So here's how to do it. I rewrite it so I leave a space there. And then I look at the coefficient for my x term, and I take half of it. Half of that would be negative 6. And then I need to take negative 6 and square it. Negative 6 squared is positive 36. Now, if I do that, then I also need to subtract 36 out, so I won't change the value any of the equation. I'm really just adding a 0 right here. But if you look at this and think about it, if I put these into my two parentheses, just that part, do you see how I would have x minus 6 times x minus 6? So I have created a perfect square out of that part. I could rewrite that as x minus 6 squared. Okay, I don't want to forget this, so let's just simplify that. Negative 36 plus 4 is negative 32. That still equals 0. Do you see how I have changed that now into vertex form? And I can pull my vertex straight out. So my vertex would be 6, because I need that negative sign to stay with the formula. And then negative 32. So I don't have to find my x and then plug it back in to get my y. Now, the roots of this equation is another easy thing to find now. So, let me rewrite that so I don't have all my boxes. I need to just isolate my x minus 6 squared term. So I'm going to add 32 to both sides to get x minus 6 squared equals 32. I need to take the square root of both sides, plus and minus. So I will have x minus 6 equals, let's see, 32 is what? 16 times 2. What's the square root of 16? 4. And I'm left with the 2 here. Now all I have to do is move my 6 over. So x would be, add 6 both sides, 6 plus or minus 4 times the square root of 2. And I have solved that equation. Like I said, this is kind of a trick. And we're even going to show you something else pretty soon that you can solve for. But once you get this form down, it's kind of a fun thing to do. It's quick. Okay, let's practice this again. Now, to complete the square, my coefficient in front of the x squared has to be equal to 1, and this one isn't. But I can do that very easily by dividing everything by 2. And why is that legal in algebra? Because I do have an equal sign over here, and I can divide the 0 by 2. So as long as I do it to every term, both sides of the equations, I'm fine. So if I divide by 2, that'll leave me x squared plus 4x plus 7 equals 0. Now, I want to go ahead and complete the square. So x squared plus 4x plus 7 equals 0. And I need to take half of this middle term, 2, square it, 4, and then add and subtract that same number. Now, I can take just this part of it and factor it into a perfect square, which will be x plus 2 squared. Now, negative 4 plus 7 is positive 3. And so my vertex is negative 2, 3. Okay? Now if I want to solve this equation for my x-intercepts, I need to move the 3 to the other side. And then I need to take the square root of both sides. So x plus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of negative 3. Now I need to subtract my 2 to both sides, and I will have x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 3. Now you're saying, what is this negative 3 under the square root sign? I can't do that. That's illegal. Well, actually, this will be an imaginary number. And we will learn about that in the next video.